want to bring in Bishop Robert Barron, founder of Word on Fire and Bishop of the Diocese of Winona, Rochester, in Minnesota. Sir, thank you for your time, Bishop Barron. Thank you for being here.
Good being with you today.
I'll get into a lot of stuff here, but just give me what's your thought right now when you heard about the passing of Francis?
Yeah, my first thought is sadness. You know, the popes in my lifetime, he's the pope I knew the best. I met him on a number of occasions. I was with him for the 2 sessions of the synod last October and the October before that. And I got a chance to talk to him on those times. So I felt a personal connection to him. He also appointed me twice as bishop, you know, so he meant a lot to me personally. Whenever I was with him, I was impressed by, you know, his kindness, his goodness, his simplicity. So I feel I guess a personal connection I didn't feel with the other popes that have passed away in my lifetime. You know, so sadness for Catholics is the loss of a father. He's the Holy Father, and it's like a loss in the family. When I first heard the news earlier this morning, I just went to my chapel and said a prayer for him. So that's my overriding feeling today. You know, we're all speculating about what's next and his legacy and so on, but that's the first thought I have is just the loss of a spiritual father.
We appreciate that. It is 7:30 at Vatican City, and there's going to be a rosary service that begins momentarily, and we just want to share with our viewers as we continue our conversation here. Faith in America has been a big topic in the early hours of the news of his passing. I want to read something from the New York Times and show you a poll that we're picking up on today and trying to understand why, okay? The face of Catholicism in the United States has changed. Here's how. It reads, for decades, the share of American Catholics declined in the face of broader trends in secularization. But those numbers have stabilized in recent years, buoyed by growing immigrant communities across the West and the South, and by broader societal changes that are transforming Catholic identity. I don't know what that means to you at the end about Catholic identity. But in terms of participation of U.S. Catholics, in 2007, you had a number of Hispanics at 29%. All right, that's 17 years ago. You've got a 7% increase up to 36% today. Do you believe that faith in America has hit a bit of a growth sector, Bishop Barron?
Yeah, and I've been tracing this for a long time. So, you know, last 30 years or so, we watched this massive disaffiliation. When I was a kid, go back to the 1970s, about 3% of our country would have said, I have no religion. 97% had a religious affiliation. From like the early 90s till today, I mean, the thing has slid so that now it's about 26 or 27% of our country would say, I have no religion. So we've been watching this phenomenon for a long time. We've also noticed in very recent years, there's been, as you suggest there, a stopping and even a bit of a reversal, especially led by young men, that young men seem to be interested in the faith in a fresh way. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that. One is some online, you know, personalities, I think, who have articulated the spiritual reality in a fresh way. That's appealing to young people, especially young men. But the Gen Z phenomenon to me is fascinating. We probably thought, oh, it's just going to accelerate with Gen Z, but just the opposite is happening. Indeed, it's the number of immigrants who've come in the country have kept our numbers relatively high. But I think also now in the mainstream culture, younger people are making a move back. So we're finding that pretty encouraging.
Very interesting. Let me read. I think this goes with exactly what you're trying to describe to us, sir. New York Post, young people are converting to Catholicism en masse, driven by the pandemic, internet, and lax alternatives. What have you thought about that,
lax
sir?
alternatives. Well, you know, go back 20, 25 years and the new atheists emerged. And at first, a lot of young people followed them. You know, take it, you know, it's in your face religion. But what happened was in the wake of that, they realized, okay, I came from nothing. I'm going nowhere. There's no objective moral value. My life has absolutely no meaning. I live in a heartless, pitiless universe. Well, that's the worldview given to them by the new atheists. And I think young people realized, as all human beings do, that we're wired finally for meaning, beauty, truth, value, and ultimately for God. And so this infinitely bleak worldview of the new atheists, I think, was rejected by young people. And when certain people emerged to articulate the spiritual in a new way, they found it very appealing. So that lax alternatives, I think this awful, you know, ideological secularism that is soul crushing, young people are turning away from that in droves. Thank God.
Bishop Barron, thank you for coming on. My best to you and your folks there in Minnesota. Thank you. Bishop Robert Barron.
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet.